Welcome to today's Explainer. For generations, we've relied on deeply rooted traditions to keep our families feeling secure. But what happens when the literal cost of that traditional security suddenly spikes? Today, we're unpacking what I call the gold dilemma. We're going to ask a pretty vital question. Are our oldest financial habits absolutely still the best way to protect our loved ones? Or is it time for a major update? Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this because the timeline here sets the stage perfectly. On May 12th, the news headlines were incredibly reassuring. Officials came out and stated there were absolutely no plans to hike the gold import duty. Everyone breathed a massive sigh of relief, right? But then literally the very next day, May 13th, the policy completely flipped. The import duty was actually increased. It was a sudden 24-hour turnaround that completely caught everyone off guard. And we're not talking about a tiny adjustment here. The import duty suddenly jumped to a staggering 15%. So what does this actually mean for the average person? Well, it means imported gold just became significantly more expensive pretty much overnight. The barrier to entry shot up, directly hitting the pockets of ordinary citizens who heavily rely on this exact metal. Now, we really have to remember something crucial here. Gold isn't just some shiny commodity. For millions of families, it acts as a literal emotional security blanket. It's so deeply embedded in the culture, seen as the ultimate safety net, the biggest, strongest pillar of support you can lean on when the future looks a bit shaky. People aren't just buying it to hoard wealth. They buy it for the absolute peace of mind it brings. Think about it. Even today, when a massive financial emergency strikes, families inherently trust gold way more than almost anything else. Whether it's a sudden wave of crazy hospital expenses, a desperate need for quick cash to keep a family business afloat, or just any unexpected shock, what usually happens? Instead of dealing with piles of paperwork for complex bank loans, people instinctually reach right into their cupboards. They bring out the gold they've safely stored at home. It is, without a doubt, their frontline defense. But here is where we need to take a step back and really reflect. Times are changing, so what should we do? With the cost of acquiring traditional gold spiking overnight like we just saw, simply hoarding physical metal might have worked brilliantly in the past. But is it really enough for today's economic landscape? Instead of just locking away more and more expensive jewelry, we absolutely must pivot to structured, proper financial planning. So, the crucial point is this. We have to face the terrifying reality of the modern world. A single serious illness or a totally unexpected accident can completely destroy decades of hard-earned savings in an absolute instant. When you're suddenly hit with modern medical bills, selling a few pieces of gold might not even cover the ambulance ride, let alone catastrophic hospital costs. This is a massive, core problem, and it requires a modern, calculated solution. So how exactly do we build a much stronger, more resilient safety net today? Well, it really breaks down into two non-negotiable steps. Step one, you've got to manage those terrifying medical expenses with health insurance. A hospital visit should never ever mean emptying out your family's entire life savings. And step two, protect your family's very survival with term insurance. Put these two together and they form a formidable modern shield that is completely independent of the fluctuating price or the crazy high taxes of physical gold. Actually, let's focus specifically on that second step for a quick second. Term insurance is widely described as the absolute purest form of life insurance. It's completely straightforward, incredibly transparent, and honestly, it is an absolute necessity if you happen to be your family's primary earner. If they rely on your income to put food on the table, this is the exact tool designed to step in and replace that income if the absolute worst happens. It is the ultimate modern response to life's biggest uncertainties. And this brilliantly illustrates the real difference when you look at the sheer mechanics of the choice. On one side, you have physical gold. Every single time you buy it, you're hit with hidden weights. You've got making charges, you've got GST, and now that massive 15% import duty. But on the other side, insurance plans. There are zero making charges, no GST acting as a massive barrier. You pay a surprisingly small premium, but you unlock massive coverage. We're talking hundreds of thousands or even millions. The financial leverage there is simply unmatched by a physical chunk of metal sitting in a drawer. Oh, and here is a highly practical tip to make this modern safety net even more accessible for you. Take action online. Seriously, buying these life-saving insurance plans on the internet very often unlocks significant financial discounts. It's just a simple, modern convenience that actually saves you hard-earned money right out of the gate, making that already small premium even smaller, while keeping your massive coverage completely intact. It's a total win-win. As we wrap things up today, it all really boils down to this core idea. Whether you decide to go out and buy gold today or maybe you decide to wait until later, do not delay setting up your insurance plan. Why? Because, as the experts put it, this is a much cheaper financial backup than gold, proving to be your best friend in difficult times. It steps in exactly when you need it the most, totally free from heavy taxes and hidden acquisition fees. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. I want you to ask yourself this today. When the absolute hardest days arrive, are you going to be relying on a highly taxed, costly metal just sitting in a cupboard? Or are you going to rely on a calculated, highly leveraged financial plan designed specifically to protect your family's future? The choice between old tradition and modern security is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me, and I highly encourage you to take a really close look at your own safety nets today.